Mikey Garcia is upset by sandals from Spain. Inactivity is to blame. And we're going to talk about that in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Listen, I don't know how you found the video, but somehow, some way, you made it. Help others make it and find the video by throwing a like on the video. It's a simple and free gesture. If you like the content beyond that, you can hit the subscribe button. Leg up. Boxing, Theater of the Unknown. Mikey Garcia loses to Sandor Martin of Spain last night in Fresno. Now, this wasn't a fight that was promoted well, in my opinion. I actually had the opportunity, was invited, but I had a lot of stuff to do, and it just wasn't a big fight to the point where I could put off my other responsibilities to go. Yet and still, as a fight, Mikey Garcia took his second professional loss. Now, I put this on Twitter, on my Twitter, so make sure you guys follow me. And I wanted to expand for my YouTube audience. Follow me on Twitter at Boxingego. I said, people keep blaming the poor performances on, quote, inactivity. And it's far deeper than that in boxing. It's how you live and how you are living during that inactive time. Floyd Mayweather was out 21 months, came out of retirement, and he toyed with an all-time great, Juan Manuel Marquez. Canelo Alvarez, payday, you want payday. I know that. Hey, get the right. Canelo, he had a bunch of fights that failed to manifest, and the negotiations went south. Then he ended up suing to get out of his Golden Boy and DAZN official contract, which he successfully did. And he was out about 9 months or maybe even a little bit longer, came back and destroyed Callum Smith, who was a champion and won the World Boxing Super Series out of the UK. Now, as time goes on, when you're first starting a YouTube channel, you don't know everything. You got to learn on the spot. But now I see one of the big separations and the separating points between myself and a lot of people who came and went in this boxing game is consistency. A lot of people have rules in boxing, and it's really not even a rule. It's not something you're a stickler for. They use it and it's applicable to certain fighters, but other people it's not. Like, for example, in order to justify a technical good fighter and Mikey Garcia losing, people are coming up with this inactivity thing. But Mikey Garcia fought February 2020, right? That's the last year and the last time he fought. Right before that was what fight? Oh, that's right. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama versus Tyson Fury. And neither Tyson Fury nor Wilder had the type of performance Mikey had. Like, even though Wilder was hurt for most of the fight, he showed this crazy willpower and desire to win. And they both, all of their look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Their last fight was in February 2020, all of them guys. And for Tyson Fury's case, he actually won by knockout. So he's a technical fighter. He's a boxer. And he fought this dangerous Deontay Wilder. They put up a fight of the year. A lot of people are having this as their fight of the year. And that's not how Mikey Garcia looked. So it's deeper than just inactivity, because Tyson Fury worried about inactivity, and he's a known, boxer, and he's in the heavyweight division where one punch can crush you and change the course of events. So Mikey doesn't really have an excuse. Now, I do like Mikey. In fact, here's a quick, brief story. Mikey was one of the first people in boxing to show my channel love and give me an exclusive interview. I remember before I covered any fight, I did an interview with Mikey Garcia via the phone. Very nice guy, very cordial. But I see the fans, and this is more geared towards them. So shout out to Mikey Garcia. I don't have anything against Mikey Garcia. I'm just saying it's deeper than inactivity. Again, boxing is not just about how long you've been out. Of course, inactivity could have some bearing on the performance when you're inactive, maybe don't feel your best or your sharpest, as was the case with Errol Spence and Kell Brook. So realistically, I'm going to give Errol Spence a chocolate right hand brownie, right? Errol Spence told you he had been off for 9 months and he felt rusty, but that didn't stop a champion from becoming a champion, or a challenger from becoming a champion, right? Errol Spence still pulled through in a far more difficult fight. He was in Kell Brook's backyard in Sheffield, England. So this, again, you can see how this is shaping up to be an excuse for Mikey Garcia particularly, right? The other thing is this. Canelo Alvarez, like I said in the tweet, he came off of a lawsuit, failed negotiations with Kovalev, failed negotiations with Derevchenko, etc. And he hadn't fought in some time. He came back and he beat Caleb Smith after the lawsuit. Floyd Mayweather, and this hurts a lot of the people that are making the excuse. This hurts them because you had an African-American fighter in Floyd Mayweather, and he fought Juan Manuel Marquez off a 21-month retirement / layoff, and he dog walked him and dropped Marquez. And Marquez is one of my favorite fighters, but that's what I seen when I watched that fight. Floyd looked brilliant in that particular fight. So whatever's going on with Mikey Garcia, I think it's more than meets the eye. I think it's perhaps Mikey showing off some of his cars and having made great money. I think that money has possibly made him a bit more complacent and not the same hungry fighter. You even look at Mikey Garcia's weight. If you look at Mikey Garcia's weight in his off season during this layoff, there was one point in time where he was doing some interviews and he looked big. So when you disrespect your body like that and you're a professional fighter and you get too much out of form or out of shape, these nights can happen. It's what you're doing in the inactivity that really is going to further the gap. Because you look at Mikey, he looked doughy and soft at the weigh-in, so he could have just had a fat camp and had to get X amount, 40 pounds off or whatever he had. I don't know how much he was weighing, but he looked pretty big just from the eye test. And I've been doing it, and I've stood next to Mikey. I've stood next to the various fighters, so I have a good gauge of their size based on the height I am and looking down at them and blah, blah, blah. So I think that has more to do with it than just people labeling inactivity. Inactivity, yes, you're not gonna have it's gonna take round. If anything, inactivity usually it takes you rounds to get your timing, and you got to get things back. And you know what I mean? The first shot you get hit with, maybe you're not used to getting hit without the headgear, blah blah blah. But I think for Mikey, I think it's a lot deeper. The other thing is, I think Errol Spence comes into play and into the conversation. Mikey was well on his way. He randomly chose to bark up the Errol Spence Jr. tree, and I think that has come back to bite him. His own brother / trainer, Roberto Garcia, Big G, his own father, has said that neither one of them wanted Mikey, to take the Errol Spence fight. But these are the decisions that boxers make, and these are the decisions where you do the wrong thing, and this can be the ultimate outcome. For example, Mikey fighting Errol. Has he been the same? We don't have much data to gauge, but within 2 fights, he's losing to a guy you've never heard of, right? Before that, he fought Jesse Vargas and he dropped him and hurt him, but he didn't really, go in for the kill. And Jesse started to come back in that fight, to be honest. And Mikey's stamina looked kind of spent. You look at Kell Brook. Kell Brook decision to fight Triple G. For whatever reason, Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook thought that was the thing to do. So basically, they thought that would be the thing to do. And then since the Triple G fight and then losing to Errol Spence after, has Kell Brook ever been the same? You look at Amir Khan moving up and him fighting against Canelo. Was that in his best interest to get knocked out in a fight you were winning with one brutal shot that put you out worse than anybody else has ever put you out? Canelo did, right? So I think there's a culmination, and I think people, because they like Mikey Garcia, they're trying to find a way to reason with it. But Wilder and Tyson Fury, they were on the same exact amount of layoff. They both fought this month in October, right? And they both last fought in February 2020. So there really is no excuse for Mikey. I think the biggest takeaway from me, from the outside looking in, is I think Mikey's discipline has suffered. I think his discipline has suffered, and that is why you got the performance. Maybe because he even told you, he said in interviews prior to this that he almost didn't take the fight with Sandor Martin because he didn't feel like it challenged him, and he didn't feel like it was a fight where he could get motivated for. So you could see everything I've laid out in this video, how it's a recipe for disaster, because in boxing, technically, there are no tune-ups. People want what you have. You're a big name, a brand, come from a fight family. Your trainer / brother is a 2-time former champion. They want that. They want what you have. So you can't have no slip ups at the grand stage. So shout out to the Floyd Mayweathers, the Canelos, and the people who have remained disciplined. I know it must be very hard, but that discipline is going to ultimately save your butt even when you're inactive. Floyd Mayweather, had he not been disciplined, maybe he would have lost. But I think it's Mikey's discipline and also the Errol Spence fight that I see something, right, that has come back to haunt Mikey. Just my thoughts. I want to kick these words to you. Subscribe if you like the content. And I'm out.